pissing that money up against the wall, or they're actually just using it in their day to day, doing things that they enjoy now. Hello and welcome to your Consulting Business Podcast. My name is Russell Pearson and this is episode number 30. And today we have another fantastic guest to speak to us about a topic that I think is really important for all consultants, and that's how to build wealth as a consultant. And the reason I got this expert in, I nearly gave his name away. The reason why I got him in is because he actually turns a lot of the complexity of wealth creation into some very, very simple frameworks and tools that you can use in your business and even outside of your business to make sure that you've got opportunities for the future. Now, why did I ask him to come in? Well, wealth is cool. That's number one. But two is that I'm speaking to a lot of consultants who are sort of living for today. They're not really planning for the future because they're designing lifestyle businesses, which in some perception is about, how do I want to live now, rather than how do I want to live in the future. And they're not often considering the opportunities that they may want to take in the future and therefore setting themselves up financially to take advantage of those. So often they're pissing that money up against the wall, or they're actually just using it in their day to day, doing things that they enjoy now, but they don't have some mechanism behind the scenes actually taking care of tomorrow. So that's why I've asked this guest to join us, and I'm going to look down here and I'm going to read a little bit of a very quick blurb about our expert for today. So yes, he has a business and has a system that actually turns your business from a cash-eating monster into a profit-making machine. Is the international bestseller of 3 books and has been featured on all sorts of different programs, including, Money Magazine's not a program, but Money Magazine, The Today Show, ABC, and The Financial Review. Please make him feel absolutely welcome, Jackson Milan. Fantastic to have you with us.
G'day, mate. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Now, you were on the Marketing Report podcast with us, and I've been on your podcast, and it's been great getting to know you a little bit. But today, we're really speaking to consultants, and one of the things I often hear consultants say is, where should I be investing my money? When should I be waiting to make that big investment? But I know that's probably not the right mindset. Am I right in that?
Not necessarily, mate. We've had the pleasure of working with lots of consultants, and they can be smarty pants, and sometimes too smart for their own good. So I'm going to show you some fail-proof ways that we can implement the strategies and the structure to make sure that we're making our money work hard for us in our consulting businesses.
Yeah, fantastic. Because a lot of consultants on really, really good money, and there's this concept of, I can use this money now for whatever I'm doing, and next year's money I'll invest, or I'll find a good time to invest in the future. So I guess the question, whether it's the right question, is when is a good time to invest?
There's never a good time, and there's never a better time than right now. I think, as Confucius famously said, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. And there's this interesting phenomena that we see, Russell, particularly with consultants, because consultants go through this J curve, right? Most of them are corporate escapees, typically earning big bucks, and decided they can earn more money doing it for themselves. And they jump out into their consulting business. They're learning the ropes. They realize they inherit all of these extra responsibilities they didn't have when they had a job. And so typically their income comes off for at least a little bit. And then once they start hitting their strides and they start getting back to exceeding what they were earning in the corporate world, then they realize they're onto a really good thing.
Yeah.
And this creates a really interesting environment, mate, where individuals make the excuse like, I'm not ready yet. I just need to get my consulting business to this financial outcome, and then I'll prioritize wealth. And then once they get there, they have this underlying belief that they need to sacrifice and compromise their lifestyle and what they're doing in order to build wealth. So there's always a reason to defer it to the next milestone, whether it be next quarter or next year. And typically they just never end up doing anything. It's a big issue, particularly as you earn more income in your consulting.
And the other thing too is that I often hear consultants in particular, they go, all right, now this is my second career. I'm moving into a place where I'm building a lifestyle business. So I'm not really ever going to retire. So really, I'm not too worried about the future, because we'll just continue on, and then I'll die eventually. And I'll just keep making cash flow for now. But the reality is very different, isn't it?
It is, really is. And this is where we get caught up in a lot of the taboos around money that the traditional financial services industry has basically rammed down our throat. Because let's face it, the vast majority of participants are employees. And the vast majority of employees have a fixed mindset and also have a fixed financial position. They don't have influence over the ability of the income that they can earn. Whereas when you escape that environment, when you're a consultant, when you're a business owner, when you're self-employed, you have direct control over how you trade your time for money. And for this reason, like, we need to get rid of the term budgeting. We need to get rid of the term retirement. I call this the dirty B and the dirty R word. And this is all about understanding what you need to do to create financial freedom. And although you probably never going to retire, you want to be in a position where you can choose what you do with your time, with money not being the primary motivation to do so. And for me personally, I'd never retire, but I have the financial freedom already at 34 that I can choose what I do with my time so I can pursue my passions.
And what are those passions? Because I know you've got a few fun ones, actually.
I do, mate. Yeah. So it's a bit of backstory. I've been in this space for about 15 years. My parents were business people, stuck with money, and they very much traded time for money their whole lives and never had much to show for it. And I always wanted to create a new way of doing things. And my whole philosophy is about living for today and planning for tomorrow. And I want to create a business and I want to create wealth that gives me freedom and flexibility to live life on my own terms. And I also want to have an abundance of opportunity where if I want to do something, I'm not going to be limited by the financial means and resources I have. Yeah. And I've scaled up a number of multi-seven-figure businesses. I've been able to spend a year traveling around Australia on a four-wheel drive with my partner and our two dogs. And we've now set up an animal sanctuary in Far North Queensland. We've rescued and rehomed over 80 animals. So that keeps us quite busy, but we love it. And the reason why I do this is, one, I'm a little bit crazy. But two, I want to reframe the relationship that most people have around financial freedom, because most of us think we've got to squirrel away every last red cent, eat cornflakes for dinner, and then retire when we're old and grey. And that's a stark reality from what most of us do when we implement the right strategies the right way.
Yeah. And people have different choices, right? So, I like the idea of going out to nature and eating mushrooms that may kill me. You like the idea of pulling eels out of drain pipes. That people have different reasons. Other people want a red sports car. Other people want to go traveling around the world. But the point is that you're going to get the options if you start putting some of these processes in place. And are they processes or systems? What's the difference for you?
We call it a framework. And the idea of a framework is that it is a connection of processes and systems that work together symbiotically to produce a regular, consistent result.
Gotcha.
And our signature process that we help our clients implement is called the Wealth Mastery Machine. And we call it that for a reason. Like Russell, if we talk about what a machine means, how would you define a machine?
A machine that creates a consistent outcome, a thing that happens. You turn something into a machine when you want it to consistently deliver a certain result.
Exactly, right. And how many consultants do you think treat their money like a machine?
Well, not only that, they don't treat their businesses like a machine, because a lot of them are like, well, I would get bored if I did that. But yeah, printing money sounds really boring.
It does. And it should be, to be fair, right? The idea here is that when we have a machine that produces a regular repeated result, we firstly need to define the destination. And I often see so many consultants, they're passionate and smart people, they're problem solvers, they like to roll their sleeves up and get involved, right? This becomes a little bit of a double-edged sword. They treat their business as if it is the destination, when it is in fact the vehicle. Like, you can be passionate about it and you can love it, but you are in it because it produces a financial reward for you that aligns with the quality of the outcomes you get for your clients, right?
Actually, on that point, there is a lot of consultants I know, because I speak to them so often, who are like, I don't know what I want the future to be. So I think the piece you're talking about is that when you get to wherever that might be, when you suddenly decide, you know what, I want to do this year or this day or whatever it might be, you're going to have the freedom of opportunities. That's really the point, isn't it?
Correct. And what's interesting here, mate, is the vast majority of people, when asked, don't really know what they want, because they've either never been given themselves the space to consider what they truly want, or they've never been taught a proper goal-setting process.
Okay.
And we've developed a framework that we actually help our clients develop a 20-year lifestyle and financial roadmap, and we get them complete clarity around all of those milestones. And that might sound a little bit scary for most people listening to this. But what's interesting here is that inevitably the things on this roadmap are going to shift and change once we kind of pull them out and get them onto the page. However, these things become placeholders for whatever it is that you choose to pursue in the future, right? And the idea here is that we either need to make a decision to plan for nothing because we don't know what the future holds, and no one does, Or we plan for something and we try and manufacture the financial means for those things, which we then repurpose to fuel other things as and when they become relevant and a priority for you. And I know which one I'd prefer to choose.
Very, very cool. And it actually, to be honest, it sounds like something I need to do. So maybe we should talk after this episode.
Happy to help, mate. We've got some really cool resources that we can share. And look, here's the underlying theme here, mate. For many people, they don't do this because they're sometimes a little bit fearful, right? We tend to say, oh, look, I prefer to keep my head in the sand, this ignorant bliss, and just focus on what I'm doing and just deal with whatever comes up. Because ultimately, when we map this all out, it actually quantifies the numbers. Like we tell all of our clients how much income they need to earn, where they need to allocate it, for how long they need to allocate it for, in order to presuppose all of their goals are achieved. That's scary because you now have a financial target, a tangible figure that you need to hit each and every single year to achieve all of your goals. So now you are wholly and solely responsible for hitting that target. And that can be a little bit confronting to start off with, but then super liberating once you can actually prove you can do it.
Yeah, 100%. And do you break it up into small bites so that you can actually start proving and getting confidence around it?
Correct. Here's the next big misconception, mate, is that so many people look at wealth as pass or fail. Like, I should have bought a property in Sydney back in 2007, right? And I would have crushed it. And like, it's all of this 2020 vision in hindsight. And we beat ourselves up for that, which once again perpetuates the inaction. What we do differently is that we create for all of our clients in this 20-year roadmap, we break that down into an annual plan. And then we break that down even further into what we call money milestones. They're quarterly targets that are no longer pass or fail. That allows us to create a momentum-based plan. So for example, one of those is your active income. Let's say, for example, for you to achieve your goals, you need to produce $200,000 a year in active income after tax. That's 50 grand a quarter. So if quarter one, you only get 40, that doesn't mean we throw the plan out and admit defeat. No, okay, well, can we make 60 next quarter? Or can we divide the deficit over the course of the remaining 3 quarters so we can get it back on track for the plan? Or if something has changed and we don't hit that plan in that year, how do we then recalibrate the remaining 19 years of the plan or adjust some of the milestones to make them more realistic?
Mm-hmm.
This is getting people into their financial driver's seat. So not only can they make decisions for themselves, but they understand the sensitivity of the levers and what their decisions impact their plan. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And it sounds like the first step is really that planning piece. Is it the planning piece? I know you've got a diagnostic. What does that diagnostic do?
It overcomes really 3 things here, Russell, because there's 3 reasons why people don't create financial freedom. One, they don't have a plan because either their plan doesn't exist because they don't know how to do it or they haven't made the time, or it is a one-dimensional plan. They focus on one thing at a time. And what ultimately happens, you want one thing, another goal comes out of the periphery that competes for the same resources, and you now need to make a scarcity-based choice. Stuff that. The second thing is no cash. You either don't know the cash you need to achieve the plan, or it is less than what you require to achieve your plan.
Yeah.
The important part of that is understanding the gap and what you can do to bridge it. And then the third part is consistency. This is overwhelming for most people because they don't define themselves as finance folks, right? And this might come as a surprise, either do I. Finance and money never came naturally to me. I'm neurodivergent, so I look at things differently, and I've really tried to simplify this. I don't even look like a finance guy, do I, Russell?
No, let's be honest.
And the point here being is that when we're overwhelmed by choice, what do we do?
Nothing.
We're like a deer in the headlights. So we have created a 40-point financial diagnostic scorecard that we've defined through looking at thousands of client situations as the top 40 things that get you on track for financial freedom. The scary thing is the average score is about 18 out of 40. It probably isn't much of a surprise. Most people are below average.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what the score is. I don't care if it's 5 or 35, but there are going to be 1, 2, or 3 things that are low-hanging fruit for you that are for you to implement. Not what Uncle Bob said at the family barbecue, not what your mate, the consultant who's already got multi-7 figures in wealth.
Yeah.
This is about running your own race, not keeping up with the Joneses, and the diagnostic scorecard helps you quantify that.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, it's the idea of like fixing up some of those low hanging fruit. It's going to help you with your not your trajectory, but your momentum. It's going to make things a lot easier. Where can people do that?
Yes. So if you want to get a copy of that, and also you get copies of my two best-selling books, Secrets of Scaling a Seven-Figure Lifestyle Business and Enjoy the Journey, Creating Wealth, Living the Life That You Desire, and a lot of other resources. If you go to wealthhealthcheck.com.au, that is
Yep.
wealthhealthcheck.com.au, and the diagnostic takes about 5 minutes. It'll give you a customized report and you get all of those resources. So jump on that. My gift to you, there's a ton of value there if you implement it.
Yeah, fantastic. We'll put that in the show notes as well. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, then check the show notes. On YouTube, it'll be in the well, I guess they're show notes, but the notes underneath. What is the first step? Is it the diagnostic, or is there a first step before the diagnostic?
I really advocate the diagnostic first because it facilitates really two things, Russell. A come to Jesus moment where you're probably going to go, oh shit, this is the state of my situation, and that's important. We need a catalyst for change. Yeah. Most people pursue these kinds of things when they get to a certain crossroads, and the diagnostic will help you facilitate that crossroad so you can make a decision for you. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is implement the planning resources. A resource that form part of that, which is the 20-year roadmap. It's an exercise that we get our clients to do once a quarter. I advocate you block out 60 minutes, sit down. If you've got a partner, get your partner to do it separately and come together and talk about it. And it's really interesting to see the contrast. And look, the first time I did that resource, Russell, it took me 4 hours to distill what you want. But I revisit this every quarter myself, and it just gets clearer. Things get added, things get removed, and it becomes a living, breathing document that's going to help you get crystal clear on what financial freedom really means, and more importantly, why you want it.
Yeah, I really like that concept of doing it with your partner, involving them in the process and having them do it alone. Yeah, having them do it separate and then bring it together and actually see how on the same page you are.
Exactly. I do this with my life partner and my business partner. And it's great because this is all about rising tide, lifting all ships, and also focusing on progress over perfection. So I know it's going to be a great resource for you guys.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, Jackson, thank you so much. Anything else you want to leave the audience with today?
I think the big thing here, guys, is that a good idea in theory remains exactly that, just a good idea until you put it into practice. So start implementing, focus on progress over perfection, and just get started, and I'm sure you won't regret it.
No, I love it. Just get started is a fantastic way to end the interview. Thanks, Jackson. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure, mate.
How good was that interview? Fantastic. Thank you, Jackson, for that. Make sure you have a look at the show notes for all the newts. Have a look at the shoe notes for all the little activities that you can get into, which is the diagnostic. I'm going to go and do the diagnostic, and you'll be able to check out the other books and publications that Jackson's got available. We're going to go and actually do the book review now, and I thought it was topical to do a review of a book that is in the wealth creation space. And this is a book that has been sort of instrumental in helping me get some of my own wealth into a format that I'm consistently profitable in. And so, funnily enough, it's called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And this was a book that was introduced to me quite a number of years ago. It was actually sent to me, and it had all these really cool little slips of paper in for these different areas of the book that the person wanted me specifically to read. Now, at the time, I just put it to the side because people send me books quite often, and I didn't do anything with it. Finally, I had a reason. I was thinking, like, what does the future look like? What does my current cash flow look like? All these different things were actually playing on my mind, and so I thought I'd start to have a look at this book. And I heard a lot of other people talking about it as well. And once I did, I realized that this is a system. This is a system that you can put in place, and it's not that difficult to put it in place in your business, which means that you've always taken care of things like tax. You're always taking care of things like your own income. You're always then also taking care of profit first, which is whether you're paying yourself even 1% profit, it could be the first time in a while that you've actually been paying yourself profit above your wage and obviously outside of expenses. So Profit First is definitely a book that I would recommend. So if you haven't got a copy of that, go and get a copy of it, and we'll put a link to it in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Go and check out Jackson's resources, because ideally at the end of the day, we want to make sure that not only do you have a successful consulting business, but your consulting business gives you a lifestyle that you really love. And part of that is considering the future and putting some systems or frameworks in place to make sure that you have as many opportunities in the future as you do right here in front of you today. My name is Russell Pearson. You can check out what I've got at Your Consulting Business Podcast. There is other episodes there. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel of this and onto the podcasting platform of your choice. We would love to get questions. We'd love to get comments. So tell me, what is the vehicle that you are using for the creation of your financial wealth, even if it is something like cryptocurrency or Bitcoin? Maybe it's property, maybe it's shares, maybe it's something else. Maybe you have a system that may be different than Profit First or different than Jackson's system. I'd love to hear from it. Put it in the comments and we can have a chat. If you'd like to join me in my business group, you can go over to Facebook. We have the Future Proof Business Group there. We'd love to have you join it. If you're an expert in what you do, if you're a specialist service provider or a consultant, we would love to invite you to take part in that community and become one of the members. Until next time, my name is Russell Pearson. Stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.